Everybody loved Mama. Her high school math students, her Sunday school students, her children, we all loved Mama because she was exciting and fun and old school. Mama expected you to do your homework, your math homework, in pencil, bring it to school the next day with questions. The Socratic method of teaching had worked for her, and she thought it was perfectly fine for us. Mama didn't even allow in the classroom, in any of her math classes, calculators, not even calculus. The slide rule has worked for generations, and it would be I would be depriving you if you didn't learn how to use a slide rule. You can't always count on having electricity or batteries. Well, Mama also was a favorite of all of her students because she made mathematics fun. And most importantly, she believed in you, even when your head was full of self-doubt. She believed in all of us too, all 7 children. And when our father died unexpectedly and quite young, and she was left to raise all of us, she kept the faith. And the years passed, and we each grew up, and we went our separate ways. But every year, in the summer and at Christmas, we gathered back together. And the summer gathering was usually in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Mama's home place. And so it was in 1978, in July, that my family decided we'd do something a little different for the family reunion that year, the gathering of such. We would add a celebratory meal at a restaurant, a fancy restaurant way up in Gatlinburg. And we would celebrate Mama's birthday, even though it was a year early. And we'd add entertainment. Us. Yep. We were going to be the entertainment. And we were going to roast Mama. Now, this was a perfect way for our family to entertain because we all loved to cut up and punch each other and tell jokes and laugh and sing and perform, and we all loved the microphone. So it was perfect. And roasts were it was very popular then. The celebrity roast was on TV, hosted by Dean Martin. He was the roast master. And the roastees may be Bob Hope, Milton Berle, Frank Sinatra, Jerry Lewis, and Mama loved the roast, even when they were a little risque. This sounded like a great plan, and we were all ready to roll, except there was a problem. There always is a problem. My family was going through what Mama would call growing pains. We didn't have anything to do with each other. We were 20 years old to 40 years old, and we were living our own lives pretty self-absorbed. But Mama was the glue, and we all loved her. So we all said, we can do this. This is a challenge, but we can be nice. We can be kind. We won't say anything at the roast. You do understand what a roast is, right? Okay. We won't say anything that hurts Mama or causes her pain, but now a little mild discomfort, that'd be all right. So it was. Dean Martin came to town, it seemed, that day. To tell you a little bit more about Mama, she was a pretty amazing woman. She was born in the Progressive era. Woodrow Wilson was the president. World War I was happening. Women were just getting the right to vote. Her own parents, my grandparents, only had an 8th grade education, but they knew times were changing. And they said, with an advanced degree, our daughter will have options. Options. And that's exactly what happened. So they scrimped and they saved and they bartered and they prayed and they had a lot of good luck. And in 1934, in the thick of the Depression, With less than 1% of the women in the United States having a college education, my mother went to college. This single event was one of the most transformative events in our family. Because when Mama got to college, her eyes opened. There was so much to study. There was so much to learn, and she wanted to learn it all. Later in life, I, being the sixth of the 7 children, had a little time with her and asked her what her favorite subject was in college. She said, "Now I want you to listen to me. Astronomy." Astronomy, why? She said, because lab time was perfect. Under the stars, at night, dark, on a blanket with your classmates, including the boys. It was the 30s, guys. It was really a wild thing to be on a blanket under the stars. Mama loved that, and she loved telling that story. She studied and studied and studied, maximized her schedule, and by the time she did graduate in 37, she had a minor in French, science, music, education, and a major in mathematics. Mathematics. And with all of those teaching certifications, why, you'd think she was pretty employable. But it was still the Great Depression. But Mama was persistent and fun and adventurous. She went on her own, unknown territory to East Kentucky. And she found a high school math job there where she could also teach music. And she found my father, and their life ensued with all of us children. He was a high school principal holding education up. They talked about education all the time. Get as much as you can get. Mama would say, that's the one thing that they can't take from you, Hettie. So there we were on the day of this celebration. Now, Cousin Joe had decided he would take Mama and her sister, Aunt Ruth, on a fun ride up into the Smoky Mountains. Get her out of the house, you know. And he even promised her, if you ladies do good, I'll take you out to dinner. So we were all free to get ready for this banquet. And we did. It took all day. We arrived up to the restaurant, and my middle brother Clark was the roast master, since this was his idea. My sisters started decorating up the table with little lapel pins that one of them had made with pictures of Mama. We got a little place set aside for all the children, and we sat down and had a good stiff drink, or maybe 2. By the time Mama arrived, we were all sitting there, and Mama was totally surprised. Now the family, just the 7 of us with husbands and wives and children and cousins and such, there was about 35 of us. Mama was so surprised. Then she was really shocked to know that it was in her honor. Her birthday wasn't for a month. And then when Clark sat her down at the head table, and she read the sign that was behind the podium that held a mic, she knew this wasn't a normal family reunion. The sign said, Mother of the Hour, and a great big clock, and under it, Your Magnificent 7. Us. And she leaned over to her sister, Ruth, and said, Oh, Lord, sister, they're going to roast me tonight. Oh, Lord. She was nervous for sure. And the story started. And we all did try to dig up some smut on Mama. Tell something bad. But we couldn't come up with anything. Jack and Jim, the 2 oldest brothers, went on and on about how Mama had been so strong and sent them back to college, to the Naval Academy, and to the University of Kentucky. When Daddy died, she didn't need them to stay at home. She said, you boys promised me and your father you'd get a college education. Now go and do it. And Ruth Ann talked about how when Mama moved us all from East Kentucky to Virginia, to a town we didn't know a soul in, so that she could be near Ruth Ann in her new adventure in college, it changed all of our lives. It was a brave move. Oh, there were funny stories of times when, we snuck out and then we got caught, and times when some of the brothers had damaged the car and fixed it, and she didn't know anything about it, only to find out that she did know about it. And there were times when Mama had this habit of flipping the outside light, when the girls, we were out there with our boys in the car in the driveway a little bit too long. She'd flip that switch and flip it again. We laughed and laughed, and we sang. One of the sisters started singing. She sang Mama's favorite song at that time, which was You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone. Oh, we sang old folk songs. Mama loved music, so we sang If I Had a Hammer. And we sang hymns, Shall We Gather at the River? And we had 4-part harmony going. We were loud and raucous, and it was fun, and we laughed. We were all kind of getting emotional. We all had a completion of college story for sure. As we all listened to each other's stories, we found each other again. My brother Clark, who was the roast master, was about to wrap it up. He was all full of emotion. He was trying to be professional and witty, when we were all blown away when my youngest brother, Carl, comes strutting in. Mama's baby boy. He was special for sure. He had ridden in a Greyhound bus for 3,000 miles from the University of California at Berkeley to be there that night to roast Mama. And he came in his California style, his long blonde hair, barefoot, bibbed overalls, swinging his berry sacks. And he came to the front and laid into Happy Birthday. And we all sang Happy Birthday with gusto, like Mama taught us. In 2019, 41 years after that roast, my family still gets together. And we celebrate family and love and life and this day, whatever day it is. We don't talk much about our work or our accomplishments. We share a lot of stories. Mama's been gone 30 years, but her legacy lives on in each of us. Thank you.